even stepping up testing using exploratory testing. And if you stick around till the end, I'll show you also that, as long as we also have time. And it's a free app, so it's you're welcome to use it, download it and use it. And of course, we'll look also at the importance of reporting. Q&A, the group is not too large, so I believe it's best, instead of having Q&A at the end, just feel free to interrupt me anytime, raise any question, because if we had 1,000 people here, it would be difficult to manage, but the group is small enough that I think it is manageable. Okay, so the other thing, I already noticed that most of the people are in mute, avoid some background noise. So let's get started with this. The facts, simple facts, and you're all Jira or Atlassian Jira users, so you already know. It's great for customizing workflows. You can, well, mainly used, of course, for required management. You can create your own custom fields, defect management. Great thing about Jira is the searching. I have to admit, this is a quite impressive tool there. It also allows you, of course, to do reporting and have your own gadgets in the dashboards. Interesting user management features, and it's also available in a few flavors, or I would say hosting types, everything from cloud, server, data center, so it really is up to you. And most people do use it for agile development methodologies, namely Scrum, Kanban, even though we've seen, and we do have customers that use traditional development methodologies such as waterfall or spiral to do this. And then something else that is interesting is the user interface. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think we're going to have to mute some. There we go. And even though there are criticisms about the user interface, it's functional and it works out. And in Xray, we also maintain the same type of look and feel. So Jira itself is great for managing requirements and, of course, defect management. But there is something that is missing when you want to do or use also Jira for test management. Some of this is having test-related artifacts. And when I state this, I mean test cases, plans, executions, all of these being also Jira issues, which would simply simplify our life quite a bit. Having a full visibility of the test results and the progress is also difficult, since there are no built-in issues that tackle that topic. So you're also unable to get a complete requirement coverage. And of course, even though Jira does have great reporting, there are many third-party applications that take reporting also to another level. There is nothing specific for quality assurance. And that is exactly where Xray comes in, and where I'll be focusing the rest of the session. So in the Jira, I'm going to say ecosystem, because you can have many applications here. It's great for managing your requirements all the way up to your defects. But there is one thing that is missing, as I stated, which is artifacts that are specific to test management. And this is where Xray comes in. You're able to manage virtually all types of tests. We do support both manual and automated tests. And we also have, coming out of the box, integration with quite a number of frameworks or result frameworks that are useful for you. So overall, what is Xray? I don't know how many of you are already Xray users. Hopefully none of you. Well, I know there are a couple already, but hopefully there aren't too many, which means that you'll have an additional teaser here so that you can go out and try it. Basically, Xray is a test management application for Jira. It's available for cloud, server, and data center. We do not have a standalone version. We have decided not to replicate things that are already done very well and very efficiently by Jira. So we are supported and we implement on top of Jira. So it's a third-party application for Jira. It's mainly used for test coverage visibility. Very simple topic, but also complex to achieve. We provide you with full traceability. We support both manual and automated tests, and we'll go into those later on. Will allow you to organize and plan your tests, and you can even execute your tests directly from within the application. Now, if you notice, I do have an asterisk here for one simple reason. These are usually manual tests. Automated tests are usually carried out, triggered by your automation framework or your CI/CD environment, and this is why I have the asterisk there. You can also create defects, Jira defects, directly from within the application. And we do support a full REST API, even though we also provide plugins for some of the most common CI/CD tools, such as Jenkins, Bamboo, Circle CI, TeamCity, and so forth. Now, when your Jira administrator installs Xray for you, regardless of the type of hosting type that you're using, be it data center, server, or cloud, Xray will prepare the installation process will prepare the following issue types for you. For test specification, the test issue type as well as the precondition. For organization, test set, we also have test repository, and we'll go into that. The test plan issue type for planning purposes, and for execution, test execution, and subtest execution. And these are all Jira issues. This means that you also get all the great features that you're already accustomed to when using Jira issues, such as permission control, implementing your own workflows if you want. And we know that many customers do implement their workflows, their own unique workflows to mimic the processes that they currently have. You can certainly customize your screens. Great thing about it, you can assign it to different people depending on the issue, regardless of the issue that you're treating, and you can use third-party applications to enhance and interact with Xray even further. Now, before I get into the demo itself, I have a sample project that is for a hypothetical online bookshop, and we'll be looking at a story, and a story will be covered by several tests. Now, I've already created all these tests. I can create them on the fly for you if anybody is interested in that, but this will save a bit of time. I've created a manual test that has a precondition. I've also created a BDD test for those of you who are interested in Cucumber or Gherkin language defined tests. And I have several generic unstructured test types here. And one thing that I should emphasize here is that we're using Xray to cover the story issue type or a requirement. The thing is, while you're configuring Xray, you can configure it to cover any type of Jira issue as an issue to be covered by Xray. So you're not limited to story, you're not limited to epics. You can use Xray on any type of issue type. In terms of reporting, I will be using a Scrum, an Agile project. So we also report at the epic level. This is also interesting to see. And when we get down to the reporting, that will be evident there. So keeping this image in mind, let's go into my Xray instance here, and let's see if I can switch over to it quickly. There we go. And hopefully you're still seeing the screen since I'm switching a couple of screens here. And this is my Scrum board that I have here. This project is the bookstore project that I was talking about. I have several issues here, and these are my Scrum cards that I have at the moment. Now I have enhanced this with a custom field from Xray, which is the overall status for the latest execution of the tests. And most of our customers, we notice that they use this. This is quite in handy to give them an overview of how the tests are progressing for each one of their requirements, in this case, stories. Out of the box, we actually provide you with 5 different status. The 4 major ones are okay, meaning that all of your tests have passed that are covering this story. Not okay, meaning that at least one of the tests has failed. We also have the not run, and this applies to any time you have several tests, or I should say one or more tests, and at least one of the tests has not been executed yet. And we also have uncovered, meaning that you have a requirement, but there are no tests that are being used to cover that particular story. So I'm not going to go into configuration. By the way, if you want, you can also access documentation. Very extensive, greatly appreciated by our, yes, I know I have another meeting, but I'm not going to it. So let me just get rid of that before it keeps on bothering me there. Okay. And it's greatly appreciated by our customers. One thing that is important is we have a section that is a very large section full of information, sample code on how to integrate with other solutions. And our solution architect keeps filling this in with new features, new tools, new tips that come in. So this is a great place to get started and to get the ball rolling fast with a few examples. So back to our Jira instance here, and let me have a look at that issue that we were looking at. Let me just open this up in a different tab. And what do I see here? Because I will re-emphasize this several times during this session. One of the great advantages of Xray is that its issues are Jira issues. So this means that you can do with them basically what you can do with any other type of Jira issue. You could assign it to different people. You can have different workflows. You can set priorities. You can track it. You can edit. You can bulk edit these issues as well. So what do I see here? I have that specific story that I was telling you about. I do notice that this particular story or requirement is currently being managed or does have 3 tests associated to it. All of them are, in this case, generic, unstructured type of tests, but let me take the opportunity to show you this. Overall, for the latest execution, for this particular story here, for the latest execution and for any type of test environment, I see that the status is not okay. And why? Because I have a few tests that are failing here. So as long as I have at least one test failing, it will show up as not okay. Now I can check this against a specific test environment that you create. These are not Jira environments. These are Xray test environments. So when you execute the test, you specify if you want a specific environment that you're testing. So I've selected a couple, maybe I'll select Firefox here. So let's see how these tests stack up against the Firefox. You will notice that I've only executed one test in the past where I've specified that I'm testing precisely the Firefox environment, and so this is not okay. I can also check against different versions. So if I check, let's say for version 3, I will notice that none of these tests have been executed yet. So overall, the status is not run yet. Now, since I only have unstructured tests here, let me link in a couple of tests, such as the manual test and the BDD test that I was talking about. Remember, tests are test specifications. You can consider them as templates. You can reuse them in the same project for how many requirements you want tested or stories or whatever other issue. You can even share them against from several projects. So that's also fine as long as you have authorization to do so. So I'm going to bring in a couple of other tests. I can start typing, I can search according to different fields, and I can even fine tune these searches using JQL. Once again, all the advantages of Jira here. So since I'm preceding everything that I'm doing this for this session with the keyword demo, so that later on in the reports, we can see what was done for this session. I'm just going to write in a couple of tests here. So let me pull in the manual test. I'm also going to pull in the BDD test, and since I saw it there, I'm going to pull in already the exploratory test so that we can look at it later on. So I've added these to this story. So all of a sudden, because I already know them, we'll look at the test repository a bit later. And if I check here, let me just move this back to the latest execution, and so that we have something a bit more colorful. All environments, and I do see now that my story is being tested by all these tests here. I pulled in the BDD test, which I'm looking for it. Here it is. It also shows me that the last execution for this test did fail. The manual test, I have not executed it yet. And exploratory testing, if we have time, we will certainly look into that also. Okay, so now that I've done this, let's have a look at how we can organize and plan tests. But before I do that, I was almost forgetting, let me look at each one of these types of tests, and we have 3. So I'm going to pull in a different tab, my manual test. I'll also pull in the BDD test, and let's say this robot test here. So I'm looking at a manual test case specification, and I do see that it is very similar to a Jira issue. I can assign it to different people, workflows. As everything that I stated for the story, I can also do it here. I do see that it is specified as a manual test. I do have 3 test steps. Let me expand that, because you're able to expand this to up to 6 different columns here. And I do have an action and the expected result, which are defined here. I actually imported this by just using the clipboard. I had them in Excel, but besides the clipboard, you can import test steps from other tests, from CSV files, or from JSON files also. Okay, and we also have a test case importer, because I did this for just this test. I pasted it directly into this, but we also have a test case importer just in case you need to import tests, in this case for CSV or JSON, in bulk. So if you have hundreds or thousands of tests, it's most likely that's the way you will go. It has a wizard that will guide you through this. If I scroll down a bit here, I will notice that I do have a precondition that I've already associated to this manual test. It does not yet belong to any test set, nor test plan, nor test run. We will fill this in as we go along during the session. If I look at a BDD type of test, well, here it's basically the same thing. Same things at the bottom here. I do see that it had an execution, as I stated before, which failed in the past. It's actually failing because I'm provoking an error in the feature file here for BDD, or the scenario outline. Instead of having test steps, I do have Gherkin language defined statements, which have to have matching code in your automation framework, your Cucumber, for your Cucumber to run these tests. We support both scenario and scenario outline. Since I'm using the scenario outline, because I'm also able to push in a few parameters, and this is why I have this test failing, because I have a 0 here. Basically, this is adding these 2 parameters here, 3 and 4, should give me a 7 and not a 0. Okay, so that's the definition of a Cucumber type of test, or a BDD type of test. If I look at the generic and structured type of test, this is probably the mostly used automated test. I do see that it's very similar. Well, it's identical in most of its properties to the other ones. The only thing that varies here is I do not have test steps. The test is defined somewhere else. The logic is defined somewhere else. Maybe it's a Java class that is being tested, whatever. What needs to be done is you have to have a unique identifier for this particular test. And why is that? Is that so that when I execute my tests in using my CI/CD environment or my automation framework, and I push the results into Xray, Xray will look for the unique identifier, and it will associate, yes, I know I have another meeting. It will associate those particular or new test executions to this test, and you have a history of them. So in this case, I already have 2 here. I've the first one passed, and a couple of days ago I ran this and it failed also. And the rules for this unique definition are well documented. It's very simple. It just grabs almost the file name and so forth, or the class name. But I didn't even specify this test or create this test manually here. I had Xray created automatically for me. So if you can imagine an empty Xray instance, or I should say no tests defined, and I run my CI/CD environment and push the results into Xray, what happens is that Xray will look for the identifier. Since it does not find it, it will create automatically the test for me, and that certainly helps a lot. Okay, so let's go back into the presentation here to see if I'm following everything that I need, and kind of lost it here, and it should be somewhere. No, let me do this, it's always easier. And now I know what happened. Okay, there we go. So we're going back into this, and we've seen these three types of tests and also the precondition. Now, as I stated, you can also pull in tests in bulk using our migration tools. The most used ones are CSV and JSON by using our test case importer, but we also provide plugins or applications that will assist you in importing tests directly from HP or Quality Center ALM or from Zephyr. And lately, there have been a lot of people migrating from these into Xray, and they find this quite helpful. Okay, so now that we've seen how to, well, we didn't write any tests, but we've seen a couple of tests that were specified. What is the usual QA process? Well, usually you write tests. We didn't write them. We saw a couple of them. You organize tests, you plan them, and then you go out and carry out the executions. Even though this is the standard workflow, you can also execute tests in what we call ad hoc fashion. So for organizational purposes, Xray provides you with two ways in which you can organize your tests. The first one is using test sets. This is used basically for grouping your test cases. The other one, and in this case, a test case can belong to 0 or more test sets. The other one is a hierarchical or test repository that you're able to use. And in this case, we'll only be able to place a test within a single node on this tree. Now, to see how, because I did show you about 7 or 8 different issues that Xray will create for you and that you're able to use. And to see how things fit together, let me take this very simple example. So let's pretend we have a very small project with only 9 test cases belonging to this project. All of these test cases will belong to will be placed in the test repository, regardless if you want to organize the tests or not into a tree-like structure. You can also use test sets to group your tests. And in this case, this is what Xray provides you with for organizational purposes. When you want to execute tests, well, let's say I just want to execute these tests, it is usual to create a test plan or use an existing test plan and just link those tests directly into that test plan. And this is what Xray provides you with for organizational purposes. And when you want to go ahead and execute these tests, a test execution issue type needs to be created. You can certainly create ad hoc test executions directly here, bypassing test plan altogether, and you place the tests into that. Your tester goes out and runs these tests. Xray will create an internal structure which it uses to maintain the test results and metrics and things like that, so that it can provide you with quick filtering results, and you do the same thing for the other tests. Now, I've opted to create here in the example a few test executions. Since I only have 5 tests, I could have placed them all in the single execution, but I'm showing this to exemplify that you are able to create as many executions, as many test plans as you see fit. In this case, maybe I wanted to create an execution that is for tester A, another one for tester B, another one for tester C, or maybe component A, component B, component C. You do not have to do this, but it is nice to know that Xray also allows you to do this. And this is what Xray provides you for execution purposes. Now, once again, stressing that these are Jira issues. You could have someone that is responsible for specifying the test. you could have someone that is responsible for managing a test plan or several test plans. And you can have someone totally different, or Jira user, I should say, that is responsible for executing the tests. So that gives you additional flexibility here. So taking this image or keeping also this image in mind, let's see all this in action now. Okay, so there we go. And if I go over to my test repository here, I will see that for this particular project, I have all these tests. And I've already opted to organize these tests according to this directory structure. What I saw fit at the time, and I keep reusing it. From here, I actually say that the test repository is a launchpad into many of the things that you can do within Xray for your test management purposes, because here I can see all the tests that I have for this particular demo. From here, I can create test sets directly. You can always create test sets if you want, since these are Jira issues, directly from the menu up top. Select test set, fill everything in, and put in all the tests that you want. But if you do it, okay, if you do it directly here, it will save you a bit of time, since Xray will already pre-fill this for you and a few other things here. You can also select just a few tests if you want and do the same thing here. Create test sets, create a test plan, create an ad hoc test execution. And one other thing is you can switch to flat view, and you can certainly select tests from different directories if you want, and go ahead and create your test sets, test executions, or test plans from here. Okay, for this, what I will be doing, I will be selecting, I will say this test, and also the exploratory test. Well, single select here. And I'll be placing these directly into a test plan that I've already created. And why? Because I've already set this up in my CI/CD environment, which I'll be using later on to demonstrate automated tests. So add these to test plan. Brings me up the same type of issue picker, only shows things that, or issues that are compatible with what I'm trying to select. And here we go, the demo test plan. I think I selected the correct one. So I've added these to book 98. If I go into my test plan, I will see that I have a board here that I can use to also organize my tests within the plan. It's got nothing to do with the test repository. It's just ability that if you want to organize the tests within the test plan itself, it also helps. Now, I did state that all of these are the test plan is also a Jira issue, and this does not look like a Jira issue. It is. It's just a different view of that Jira issue. If I go into the issue itself, the more traditional view, you will see that I'm also able to assign it workflows and so forth. I see the overall progress of the tests within this test plan. I see all the tests that belong to this test plan, and I see all the executions that have taken place in the past that are for tests within this test plan. Now, let me pick one out, this one, for example. I see that this particular test has been executed twice within this particular test plan. Maybe the test itself has been executed hundreds, if not thousands of times, but within this test plan, it was only executed twice. So you can see the coverage or the progress for the tests, but only for the executions that belong to that specific test plan. Okay, so let me go back to the other view, and you can do the same thing from this view, but I find it easier here. One other thing that we do, we can also switch to flat view, and we also see the progress of these tests, not only the overall progress, but progress according to the directory structure that I have. So if I have maybe tester A, tester B, tester C, if all of them have a few tests, I can see the progress for each one of those testers, which is also in handy. So let me go ahead and run a manual test for you. And I'll just create since I'm creating a test execution directly from within the test plan, it will associate it to the test plan already. Okay, so just give it a name here, And by the way, this is where I select if I want to test different environments. So maybe I could select also Android this time and just create that. So I've created the execution. I'm going into the execution. And what do I see here is that I have a test execution with a single test. So this would be something similar to this here. So test execution with a single test here. Okay, so now that I'm in here, I have that manual test, and all my tester has to do is just execute the test. Xray will present you with a test run screen. It's showing me the characteristics. So I'm testing for the Android environment since I did pick that out. It greets you with a few panels here that you can start filling in. If I scroll, I'm not going to fill anything at the moment, but if I scroll down, I do see that I do have that precondition that I was talking about. Linked to this, just a few instructions what the tester has to do before carrying out or continue on with the test. I have the 3 test steps because I'm showing the same test that I showed you a little while ago. I have the 3 test steps here, but now they are instantiated, ready to be executed. So let's pretend I am the tester and I'm going through the first test step and navigate, see if the book is there. Yes, it is. Well, I can pass that test. Now that I've begun the testing process, Xray will keep track of this. Any report that I generate at the moment will also show me that the test is now executing. And if I continue on down and go to the second step, and let's pretend I have a problem here. So the first thing, it's telling me to select one of these books. And let's pretend I can't do it. I can already add comments here. So unable to select book. Okay. And maybe I want to attach some evidence to it. I can attach files, video files, whatever. I'm just going to, at the moment, grab a screenshot here, pretend that this is the button that is preventing me from selecting that book, and I can paste it directly into the screen. Xray will assume that I want to attach it to the overall evidence, these up top, but I can even be more precise and say that I want to attach this to step 2, and there we go. When your Jira administrator installs Xray, or the project manager, really depends what hosting type you're using, they will also specify, if any, which defect or Jira issue type Xray should consider as the default issue type. So I'm going to create a defect here. I think I've selected bug. So if I create the defect here, Xray will create automatically, bring up and pre-fill a lot of information for me in this issue type. This will also save you a bit of time. One other thing that it fills in is in the description. It will put in all the steps that you've executed, or up to and including the one where you're raising the defect from. So this is quite in handy in order to try to replicate the error afterwards by your development team. Okay, and there we go. So we have that. Now, maybe the error that I found has nothing to do with the test that I'm carrying out. So I could pass it and continue on, but I'm going to fail this on purpose. Okay, so I'm failing. Failing is a terminating status, which means that overall my test has failed, and here is some data regarding this. Remember, these are Jira issues, so all activity is logged into this case, as with any other Xray issue type. So for audits and things like that, everything is managed by Jira itself. Okay, and then I can close the issue if I want. I can leave it open so that I can alter it later on and so forth. So if I go back to the plan board here, I will, well, go back to the board and not the issue itself. There we go. I will now see that my manual test, there it is, has failed here. I could go back, create a new execution if I want, alter the existing one since I haven't closed it yet, and so forth. So this is how easy it is to carry out manual tests directly from within the Xray application itself. Now, let's say I want to execute an automated test. And for this, I'm using Jenkins, and I'll use the generic robot, which is bringing up Selenium. I think I already launched the server here. And the last time it failed, I believe I've already corrected that. I'll soon find out. So I'm going into my, well, I'll log in, it's always easier. And I'm in my Jenkins environment here, and I do have my my robot job here that will is actually pushing the results into that specific plan. I do not want to go into a lot of detail, but let me show you this anyway. The configuration, because we do provide you with plugins for Jenkins. I only have a post-build plugin using the post-build plugin here, but we also have pre-build plugins. So basically the pipeline, I'm checking out from my Git repository. I'm running robot on all the files that I'm checking out, and then I'm pushing the results button. This is the plugin. I'm pushing the results into my Xray in my VM machine using robot. In this case, we support several formats, and I'm also giving it a few additional parameters, such as which project I'm pushing it into, if I'm using a test plan, or if I want to use an existing execution, any environments that I may be using, and even the version. So if I go back top, and let me do this just for a simple reason here, because I want to know if I did launch my server. I'm going to run this. So this will be popping up. It does not test a book site. It tests our own website to check for some links. It's a very simple test that I created. So I'll just build this, and hopefully Xray, everything is well configured. There it is, going into Xray, checking for a few links, and it's up and running. Okay, so if I expand it or maximize this again, if I go into my build here, I will see that the tests have passed. Yes, I did correct it. And I already know what this stands for, but it created a new execution for me, which is book 241. So if I go into my test plan, where is it? I'm using a few things. Oh, there it is. The test plan here. First thing that I'm going to do, and remember that the generic robot is failing, I'm just going to reload this. And all of a sudden I see that it passed. There are many ways of reaching the result. I can go through the test plan, which will have a new execution. I'm just going to go directly into the test itself and see that I now have a new execution, which was carried out just now, and I can see the details. Firefox, as I stated there, I was testing version 2, and I get everything that I'm pushing in from Xray. So I do see these things. I do see these things also in Xray, as well as the activity log here. Okay, so let me go back into the presentation here. And so in terms of integrating with Xray, I did use the CI/CD tools, or sorry, the plugins for the CI/CD tools here that you did see here. I took a snapshot of what I was doing there. We also have the pre-build if necessary. And we also have a full REST API just in case you're either using your own mechanism, a framework that does not that we do not have plugins for. The REST API is very simple to use, very well documented also in our documentation. In terms of what you can use, I should speed up. I see that the time is passing by quite quickly. In terms of formats that we support out of the box, the formats that we support are everything from JUnit, all of these going up into the zipped cucumber. I use this one, the robot XML. You're free to use whatever one you're using or that your automation framework generates. Now, some of these allow you to do more things than others. For example, within the robot XML, I can use tags that will help in identifying certain issues or certain requirements, even mapping them to requirements automatically. If I use the simpler ones and almost the de facto ones, such as JUnit, it does not allow you to do that, okay? But we are actually working with them to see if they can include a few features that will allow us also to include additional tags for that. If you do not use any of these formats, we also have our own JSON format in which you can convert your results into, and Xray will be able to ingest that without any problem there, okay? So let's go into because time is passing by, I'll come back to this in just a little while. let's have a look at reporting. And in terms of reporting, Xray provides you with quite a number of operational reports, as well as a new feature, which is a document generator, where you can create your own templates to define what type of document you want to be generated, with what type of information, the look and feel, the layout, and so forth. So if I go back into Xray here and have a look at the reports, yes, I did. Okay, let me bring up the overall requirement coverage. The first thing that you'll notice is that you're able to select or filter out using the same filter that I used just a little while ago. I'm not going to put any filters since I don't have too many tests. You can use filters that are related to Jira issue properties, and you can group these things. So I'm going to group this according to components. So what do I see here? I should kind of increase this a bit. I see that, for example, for my search components, I have two requirements which are okay, one requirement which is failing, and one which is not even covered by tests. I can drill down a bit there, and I do see that this particular requirement has 3 tests, 2 have passed and 1 has failed, and this is what I get here. I can also check this requirement, which has nothing, no tests whatsoever. So here's the requirement, and I have no tests. Maybe that's what I want, but at least this way I do know that it's not being covered by tests. Maybe I'm a product manager and I want to see this by priority. That's fine also. So as a product manager, would I release this? No way. I have 4 critical requirements and one of them is failing. So there's no way I'd be doing that. Let me have a look at the other types of reports. I'll skip a couple here. Traceability, probably one of my favorite reports here. No filtering also, and I'll just generate a report. I'll scroll very quickly down to the bottom. And just to show you that here we're reporting at the epic level. This means that I can condense this quite a bit and see that this particular epic is not okay. Why? Because I have four requirements that are passing and 2 that still have their tests to run. I could expand that and see that in this case. Now, if I scroll back up to the particular test that we were, or requirement that we were looking at, and this is why I'm preceding everything with demo, I do see that this demo is not okay because of this situation here. I also see that the manual test that I carried out has failed. I did have an execution 8 minutes ago, and I even raised a defect from it. So you get complete traceability from the bug or defect all the way up to the requirement itself. And we also see any additional runs that we have. For example, the robot one that we did just a little while ago. I have a few executions, and the last one was 5 minutes ago, and it ran okay. Other types of reports that are interesting, if you do a lot of planning, we also have the report at the plan level, where you get to see the whole everything that is related to that specific plan, and you can click on these as much as you want here. And if you want the finest grained report, you'd go to the runs report. It shows you all individual runs, including the ones that we just did a few moments ago, and you could go back into it to check this further. Now, one thing that we also provide you with, Xray, is gadgets for your dashboard. So if I bring up this particular dashboard here, I will see that I have, by the way, all the gadgets, you can edit them, put your own filters in there. I'm using the same filters here, so I'm seeing everything, but maybe you want to see just the issues that are pertinent to you, or just high priority ones. So you get this type of gadget, overall test results, the requirements list and their current coverage, and even the individual tests and also their results. And since these are Jira issues, well, maybe I just want to see what is not passing. I can click on this and it will take me to a Jira list that will show me, because I can use, of course, now it's waiting for my own VM machine. Let's hope it doesn't hang on me. There we go. And what we see here is that it's just a Jira filter that is being used, and it's showing me the 4 tests that have been failing. From here, I can maybe do some bulk operations on it, maybe raise the priority or assign them to a specific test lead, whatever I want. So it's nice to see that we also have that possibility to do this in this case. Okay, now let me go back to the presentation here, because if you bear with me and if you have a few extra moments, I would also like to explain a bit about taking your tests to another level using exploratory testing. What I've shown you, both the manual test and the automated tests, they are scripted tests. Okay, you can kind of fiddle around with it, but you're following guidelines, you're following instructions, you're following a cookbook. So if things don't change, or if you're not testing the correct things, the test will pass or fail, and there's not much you can do about it. So if you want to enable your QA people to use their creativity to also carry out tests, this is where exploratory tests come in, and we can provide you with it's a free application. So have a look at our documentation. You can download it there, and it works even without Xray, but the full features come out when you're actually using Xray. And here you're able to have maybe a guide that your tester should use or should follow in order to test a few things. Maybe it's an API, maybe it's a user interface, or so forth. So if I go back into my application here and let me see the test repository. Yes, I'll run it as an ad hoc test. And I was setting this up just before the demo here. So here I have, I'm going to look at this exploratory test. It is a generic test, okay? And I've placed any type of definition here. And I'm going to run this ad hoc fashion. So just run this in exploratory testing app. And let me give it also a name, demo exp app, okay? And execute this in my exploratory testing application. It should run for me there. There we go. Get this out of the way. And let me kind of do this so that we can see what's going on. So this would be the application. It pulls in information about this execution and the specification about this exploratory test. And your tester may have 5 minutes to start exploring. That's fine. Well, I can start the test here. I'm going to use screen 1 nonetheless, and just start exploring here. So maybe I want to take a screenshot. Fine. Okay, there's the screenshot. And maybe I want to note something, comment. Okay, and maybe it's a problem, maybe it's a suggestion. I can also do that, or it's an idea, close it. I can take notes. Here is a new note. Okay, and maybe this is an idea or something like that to improve this. So you could go ahead and continue on with this. And once I'm finishing the test session, and this is where integration with Xray is really beneficial, I can end the session. I can say if the test passed, if I'm still executing or not, if it failed. I'm going to pass it, and I'm going to submit the test run. So now that I've done that, and let me get this out of the way and do this, I will see that I have, and also let me refresh this. Am I in the doc? Yes, I am. Just refresh that. I will see that I have I have a new test execution here. I did execute it in an ad hoc fashion, so it was outside the plan, and I can look at the details. And here it provides me with all information, including the reports, screenshots, and so forth, regarding the specific test execution. So if I bring this up, I will see my exploratory testing, the screenshot that I took, any note. You can save video, take audio notes, and so forth. So I really believe that automated tests, manual tests are great for your basic testing and for making sure that the basic things are there. exploratory testing take this to another level. And I certainly hope that you find this also useful. Feel free to download it, use it, and tell me what you think about it. Okay, so let's go back into the presentation and continue on here. Okay. We've seen, oh, one other thing that I'd like to show you is the document generator. And for that, let me bring that up. So let me do this. And I think I have one here. I've already generated this report. It's actually, it was generated quite a while back. The template has actually changed. You can define your own templates. But just to show you this was actually created initially to show a pharmaceutical company that they could create also their reports for hard copy sign-offs, because they do need the hard copy sign-offs, or at least some pharmaceutical companies. And we show them, and then we actually use that as a basis for a template, which you can modify. You can create your own. This one is just generating PDF with everything in this test plan. Remember that the detail that you want to go into, it's also configurable here in the template. And basically it's telling me what the results are, the test summary, it goes into each one of the test run details and so forth. And since they needed a hard copy sign off, we actually added, or they added, an approval page here that they would have to have their documents or test results, a hard copy sign off there. Okay, so going back into the presentation here, and just to finish off for the Q&A, a little bit going back to Xpand IT. It's a company that has had great success here. We have over 5,000 customers, over 4.5 million active users. Of information that is shared with us, we know of more than 100 million test case specifications that have been included in Xray. A lot of reviews. Like I said initially, we keep on improving what we believe is already a great product. Over the last 2 years alone, we delivered 200 new features or different features, and these are proposed directly by our customers. We have customers in over 70 different countries. I should note also that more than 130 of them are Fortune 500 companies. And if some of you are not using Xray yet, we certainly hope that you will consider it, because it is a very powerful tool. So I'm kind of running out of time, but still some time for Q&A while I leave some useful resources here. Feel free to ask away.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. You mentioned in the end that you can define a template and then generate a Word or PDF thing. Can you just
Yes.
quickly show me a template or show me a quick demo like how I can define a template? Because usually in the testing, what happens, a tester is well known about all these things, but when you need to present it to senior people, they really don't like the formatting table thing, right? So they like the nice formatted PDF
The nice
or Word thing.
formatted test.
Yeah, with
Yes.
some graphs and less technical, but
Yeah,
more like graph and then
I
formatted.
completely understand you. I completely understand
So
you.
can
And
you just show me how
yes, I
we
can.
can?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can. So the first
So
thing,
please take an example on Word so that in Word at least we can add the everything logos and right
yes,
additional things.
okay,
So
I
we just want to
understand.
fill this thing and then create a report.
I understand that it is something that top management just want overall reports and in the format that they're already accustomed to.
Yeah.
I've been in the telco and corporate business for almost 30 years before joining Xpand IT, and I know that quite well. And I also know the reasons why, okay? But nonetheless, we might agree,
Yeah.
not agree
So
with that, but nonetheless, first of all, to use Document Generator, we have a separate application, which is Exporter. You can use that one if you already have it. If not, as a version 4.1 of Xray 4 server and data center, and the version that came out for cloud in June, you will now get the document generator. So from here, for example, I could select what I want. Now you want to see the template itself. For the template itself, let me go here to the prod. Well, it's not here, sorry. if I go into management here, yep, and log in. So here I am in my Xray configuration, where the administrator needs to have access to this. I go into document generator here, and just wait a bit. And keep on wait, there we go. And here I have several documents that I've already used, okay, that I have in here, and this is why I created that document. The first thing that you can do is you can go to the store and you can see all the templates that we already have for you there. There are several pages here, and you can create your own, okay? So I'm just going to skip that and hopefully download or edit any of these reports. So
That's
the
fine.
basic plan, so for example here, you can edit this. I'm editing not this, but I want to download it so I can edit it. Okay, so there we go. And it's bringing me this up in a different window, so I'll just pull it in. Hold on. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying that it brought this up in a different window. And I'm trying to look for it because I have so many screens here. Otherwise, I'm just going to open it up again if necessary. Okay. And let me also do this because hopefully it's not behind everything else that I have here. Okay. And close everything, and I'll open it up again because I kind of lost it. I had about 100 documents open. So let me open this up again. Okay. So yeah, I'll just download it again, and there we go. Yes. Just open it. This because I couldn't find it, and it's not opening it. It is. Ah, now I know where it is. It was behind the Zoom. Okay, so I'm bringing it back in here. And this is the document, actually, it's the new one. So what you see here are code snippets. We also have in Word plugins that you can use for these snippets here. And what you see here, there are a bunch of different different rules that you have. And the report that I generated is based on a template that is similar to this one. So you see a bunch of control words here. So you define this within Excel or within Word, as this one is. And you know, if I did not want this picture, I just remove it. Boom. So
Yeah,
the report that I have, I would not have that. Maybe I do not want the test details. Well, I'd remove that part, or maybe I want
right.
something different. Okay. So basically, it's the way you edit your reports. There is a whole section on all this definition here. It seems complex, but it is not. Okay,
No,
it
it's
is
okay.
not.
I am aware of this text. The end result is something which I am really interested. I know how all these things are like. This is
Okay.
being replaced in loop, and then it is being fetched from
Yep.
each and everything, and then you
Correct.
replace it with. So that's fine. It's all looks good to me. I'm
Yep.
getting the whole exact ideas. Just scroll down. So at the end, you must have added a textual page, which is added at the end. So
And there.
okay. So the garbage looking items were replaced with the actual data, right? That's the whole thing that
Yeah,
actually.
you can replace this with whatever you want and upload
Okay.
it and then use that. Okay. Did I answer your
Okay.
question?
Yes, yes, yes.
Great.
That was great of you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Any other question? I am never that thorough that there are no questions. Okay.
Is anyone awake or everybody is sleeping?
I know it's late there and you're anxious for the weekend, but take advantage
Pretty good,
since I'm
pretty
here
good.
online.
I really like the application and I'm going to download the Exploratory app pretty soon.
Yes, it is. We've had great reviews for it. It came out initially for cloud before it came out for server. And the people that found out about it, we had an early access program for it, were so keen on it that they wanted it for server as quickly as possible. But no, we decided for the early access program, just to have it just for Xray Cloud. But afterwards, you can use it without Xray, of course. But they really saw the advantage when integrating. And some of them were data center and server Xray customers. And they've been using it quite a bit at this moment. Exploratory testing it's a different mindset, rest assured. So, you can raise a defect where someone is probably not a defect, or maybe you're being a bit picky or something like that. But that's the way you really improve your products. Maybe the image is not the best one there, or there's even too much of a contrast between what is being displayed. And this I'm looking at the user interface, of course. So that's fine. I can even tell you that we tested this out I do not have that test for you. We were testing something that I knew had a problem in my mobile devices. So I tested it out in the PC, and effectively it's also the same thing. It's at actually our national lottery site. And if I open that up, just to show you what the type of test, Santa Casa, and I can show you exactly what it checks out. It's this one, okay? And when I log in, and I was testing this, I did precisely this test because it worked here. I don't use it anymore because that's not even our site. When I was performing automated tests, it would always log in here, no matter what I was using. One of the things that we found is that in this particular situation, if I have a small screen, it doesn't happen here because I can scroll here, but the login part does not scroll. In a small screen and a mobile phone, I wasn't able to pick these characters out. And what happens with my automated test, if my password or my login fitted into this, it would pass. But if I wanted to choose, let's say, because these are random, if I wanted to choose number 9, then I can't get there. But if my password did not have number 9, my test would pass. Okay, so this is something that exploratory testing picks out right away, but an automatic test would never pick it up, because if by incident the password and login are being displayed, my Cucumber or Selenium will consider the test as passing. Okay, you'd have to be aware of this to also create a test to test for this. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea. It's a very useful tool. So good thing you're going to download it. It's highly recommended. Okay.
I
Any other
must
question?
say it was an awesome presentation, and Xray is a very great application. I will be downloading it soon. And I really like the reporting and the documentation part. So
Yeah.
it is very important for, at least for me. And with what I saw in your presentation, it was just wow.
It is, and thank you for your words, because you bring up a very important point, and I even kind of touched it, which is, for example, requirement coverage. It's the report, or actually it was the operational report, is very simple. It's just a bunch of colors, but that tells you so much about the tests. And you can have the most complicated test suite, application, framework. If it does not provide you with the reports that you intend to have, there's no use. It doesn't make sense. And they have to be quick to show you everything is fine and up and running. So you brought up a very important point there.
So guys, do we have any more questions?
No question from my side, but I would also like to thank Hilda, because it was really great presentation, and this is the tool which I think everyone is looking for. So definitely, it's going to be helpful for every companies, and especially testers.
I certainly hope so. Well, once again, I know there are many other applications out there, such as ALM, such as well, other ones that are Zephyr and TM4J and so forth. This one being so tightly integrated, because it is a Jira application, with Jira itself
Yeah.
is an advantage. And the second thing that we
So
found, because we've had a couple of customers that have asked us for a standalone version. But the thing is that we'd be replicating what Jira already does very well. And that does not make sense to reinvent the wheel. It's as simple as that. So until we see, you know, a lot of demand for it, it does not make sense to implement what Jira already implements. Okay.
So one quick question, Heather. So all the functionality that you saw were on Jira Server. Maybe they are also on Jira Data Center. Are they similar in Jira Cloud also? So is there something that is missing in Jira Cloud or you are
Okay.
working on?
Okay, I can tell you that. In terms of Jira Server and the Jira Data Center, functionality-wise, it is identical. You do get additional features with Server that are inherited to Server, such as redirection. Maybe your request will go to a specific node and so forth. So that's particular about the Jira Data Center. For Jira Cloud, there are some, the majority of the features are the same. There are some differences. For example, you have in Jira Cloud something that we do not provide you with in Jira Server, and that is the API in GraphQL. That's the first one. Second one, remember when I was showing you the Scrum board and it had the requirement coverage, the red, greens, blues, and so forth? That is not available, that specific requirement coverage at the Scrum card level, because Atlassian does not provide us yet with mechanisms to do that. Once they do that, we will also be providing that. In terms of functionality, it's very similar. There are a few nuances, but they are fewer and fewer as time goes by. So any person, oh, by the way, the user interface is slightly different also, because Jira Cloud is different from Server itself. So we had to maintain that. Second thing, that is, well, I think it's a third or fourth that I've mentioned. Another thing is that most of the configuration within Jira Server and Data Center are done at the Jira administrator's level, while in Jira Cloud, there are two levels already, which is the Jira administrator for installing and so forth, and then at the project level. So you can configure the Xray projects at the project level and not at the instance level. Okay, so there's an advantage there. So some advantages, some disadvantages, feature-wise, basically the same thing. Okay.
So I guess we do not have any more questions. So thank you, Helder, for this awesome presentation. And I would like to request everyone for whom it is possible to just switch on your video for a couple of minutes. So we can take a screenshot.
Hilder, thank you. I do appreciate the session that you have done. We have been using the Xray for quite some time in our organization. It's just that, especially after you've shown us the reports and the templates, I think I can enforce that with my team to better use and utilize the Xray to its full potential. So I do appreciate this session and your time with us. So thank you.
That's great. Thanks a lot. Well, first of all, thanks for using Xray. And it's nice to know that the session did add some value, because this way your team will certainly use it to its best. Okay, great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Helder, can you please switch off the shared screen? So that...
Oh, yes, I can. Hold on. And stop sharing. There it is. I don't usually use Zoom, so I'm looking for the tools here. There you go.
Thank you. Someone was asking a question.
No, I was just requesting everyone to turn on camera.
Okay. Okay. So, and while I'm taking a screenshot, There's one request that I had shared a link of a Google Sheet in the chat box. Please try to fill it out. We will be sending some Atlassian swag stores codes which you can use to buy some Atlassian stuff like t-shirts and caps, anything that is available there. So just fill out the sheet with your details, and we will be using some random algorithm to select few of you. Yeah. So
And don't worry, Helder, you are already selected. I have already sent you a mail. Don't worry about the random stuff. It is just random.
So I have taken the screenshot, and thank you, Helder, and thank you everyone, especially the leaders from the APAC region. We have Deepak, we have Aman from Noida, we have Ashish, Janki, and Mukesh from Kathmandu. Then we had Pushpan from Singapore, and then we have Pankaj from Jaipur. So thank you everyone.
Cool.
This was a great session, and probably one of the largest sessions in recent time in the COVID times in the APAC region.
Okay.
Time.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
nice
Bye
weekend.
bye.
Have a nice weekend. Stay
Have
safe.
a great weekend, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.